G'day guys, welcome to Rumble's Fish Room. So, I'm on my way into work. It's 6 in the morning, but I'm not going to work to do work. We're going to work to build a fish tank. I had a big debate with myself yesterday afternoon. Do I go in and build the 8-foot glass tank, or do I go in and fiberglass the ply 9-foot tanks? And I don't know whether it's a good idea or a bad idea, but I've settled on building the glass 8-foot tank. I don't know why. They're both jobs that I don't want to do. Sorry guys, I just woke up. I'm actually finding it hard to talk. So let's go in the workshop and I'll show you guys what is ahead of me. Alright, so for those of you who don't know, there's a lot of new people on the channel, which, hey, shout out to the new people. I'm actually a cabinet maker by trade. That's what I do as a daily. For you guys who don't realise, well, not this week, I've got Saturday off, that's why we're building this tank Saturday morning, but generally I work 55 hours a week. So add that to fish keeping and that's how much spare time I have. I reckon fish keeping is 10 hours a week. So I'm at about 65 hours a week before I even scratch myself, and then editing vlogs and stuff comes on top of that, which I don't mind. It is what it is. When I've got days off, I literally sit there like, what the hell am I supposed to do? So the first challenge we have is getting this tank out. I've had this tank for probably at least 4 years. I got it for free because it was leaking. There's actually two tanks here. There's a 8 by 2 foot by 3 foot, and there's a 7 by 2.5 foot by 2.5 foot. The 7 foot is actually like display quality, polished edge glass, really nice tank. The 8 foot isn't really display quality. It was a 15-year-old tank, plenty of scratches, that sort of thing. But it's going to be perfect to go on top of the IBCs, which I've shown you in previous videos. So I'm looking at this like, how the hell am I going to do it? So let's show you guys what I'm looking at. So the tank is behind there. So these are post-form tops. So that pile is very old. What happens is the top's cracked. You're not going to be able to really see it here. So under there's a crack in the laminate, because when it heats up and wraps around, and maybe 1 out of every 50 tops cracks. There's not much you can do about it, but they end up in this pile there, and sometimes they get used, other times they actually go to like a scrap yard and a guy takes them, but you can clearly see here they haven't gone for a very long time. So what we're going to do, there's enough space to walk in there just, so all of this here needs to be moved out, including that. So what I'm going to do is try to move all this out by myself, and then one of the guys I work with is here as well. He's going to help me lift that glass out, and then I don't know how I'm going to build it by myself, but we'll figure that out. We lifted that UPS up yesterday, so the glass is lighter than the UPS. I'm sorry about the fluoros flickering the camera a little bit there, but I can't be bothered changing the settings right now. I'm just trying to hustle. Alright, so I've moved everything out of the way. We haven't cleaned up properly because I'm not on the books. We're doing this in our own time. Now getting this out is going to be great fun, I should say. We'll use the term great fun. So we've got it's in order, I think. I'm pretty sure the 7 foot is at the back and the 8 foot is at the front, which is what we want. It's going to be horrible to clean up because it's got like the double thickness bracing. I might try get that off yet, I don't know. I've got so many decisions to make in the next couple of hours. Alright, so we got it out. Look, it's gone. there's our two ends, and it's on a sheet trolley there. I got a hand off one of the guys to get it on the trolley. I forgot how heavy glass is. Well, no, I didn't. I tell a lie. I knew it was going to be heavy. But definitely wasn't as heavy as that UPS I lifted yesterday. Anyway, this shit all takes two hands. I'm probably going to put you guys on the tripod in a minute because I'm actually prepared today and remembered to bring stuff with me. Alright, I'll see you in a sec. Alright guys, so now we're going to start cleaning the silicone off. I don't know whether it's going to be easy or hard, but I think it might be easy because of how old it is. So now, they say a tank's only good for 10 years silicone. The guy that I got this off swore to me black and blue that it was like 17 years old. So I thought that was pretty interesting, especially it's 3 foot tall and only 12mm glass. So with that, on that subject, I'm actually not going to fill this up to the top. I'm going to put a bulkhead in at about I think 800 high. I think that's just maybe even like maybe 750. 750 is like standard where people go with 12mm, which is 2.5 foot. But we might go. My old tank that I sold was 12mm, and that was 2 foot 7 inches, which is close to 800. So we might do that with this one. I don't know yet. Alright, so step one, we want to get all the edges wet with acetone. To soften up the silicone. Whoa. And don't drop the acetone. So first up, I've just got an old blade, and we're going to scrape off the bulk stuff. So I'm pretty lucky on this piece, guys. The edge is pretty clean. I don't know how. But there's not much silicone on the edge. Sorry about the noise. So this is the hardest part, is cleaning the edge. You have to make sure you get everything off. If you look up here, I don't know if you guys can see that. There's actually like calcium buildup on that edge there. And I've tried using compound and a buffer to get it off, but it's not coming off. So that's just going to have to stay there. But that's on the inside edge, so that's not actually our gluing edge. This is our gluing edge. So we want this edge to be perfect. Alright, can you guys see here? Just there, it's really hard to see in the camera. There's a bit of calcium buildup. That's obviously where the tank was leaking. I remember it was only a pinhole leak. And it's funny how you can actually see where it was leaking. So, I don't know how I'm going to get that off. I've tried to get this calcium off and I can't. I'm not too worried about it there because that's on the inside of the tank. And I'm going to do like a real dirty big silicone line on this tank because it's at its limits and it's not for display. So we're not going for a pretty small silicone line. We're going to go over that calcium buildup and like way back here. But we need to get that off somehow. I'll just keep scraping it, I guess. Alright guys, so this is going to be a couple of time-lapse videos. I'm sorry if you don't like time-lapse videos. I know a couple of you commented saying you love it when I'm rambling. This isn't going to be a rambling video because I've got so much to do, and cleaning glass doesn't make good content, so we're going to try to do a cool hyperlapse. Alright, so I went to do a hyperlapse and I managed to accidentally change the setting to 2.7K at 60 frames per second, and it sent the camera dead flat, and my spare battery is at home. So I've plugged you guys in. You've got an extension lead and the hyperlapse is going to come after this because I'm going to have to re-record it. But anyway, in the meantime, I've got some glots on the ground. I'm actually going to level these with the laser. You guys can't see the laser, but there's a laser just there, and it's just so like the tank's got no twist in it when I glue it up. And also I'm going to be standing inside the tank, so I want my weight evenly distributed along these glots. Alright, so we've got our packers leveled up. I've only leveled up the middle section, we haven't leveled up the outsides. I've got my first piece of glass down, so I've measured, well, I've guessed, I've got that overhanging enough that we can fit all 3 pieces on these glots before we stand it up, so it'll be laid out as a flat tank, you know what I mean? Next I'm going to clean this up. I've started running a blade under this bracing. It's actually really poorly screwed, attached, so we're going to take it off. I don't know if I'll put it back on. I probably should. Yeah, we will put that back on. That just means when we silicone the bottom, we're actually going to have to clean that line up. We don't want much, we don't want the big round on the bottom, and we'll glue this in during the week. Alright, so I brought the camera down to show you guys this. I do not recommend doing this at all, ever. I've got glasses on, I've got a glove on, and I really should have a face shield. And this is so scary. We've got a weak point in the glass here because it's a hole, and we're hitting it with a hammer. I'm shitting myself. Hang on, I'll move you guys. There you go. Are you dizzy from that spin? Alright, so the reason I'm knocking this off, you can see they've like squeezed silicone in here. It had like 3 cracks in it, and there's all air bubbles, and there was like a path for water to get out. So what I think's happened is they've put this on and then lifted it off and then put it back on again when it was like when they were first putting it on, and then they've put the bulkhead in. They've over tightened the bulkhead while that silicone was wet, and that's caused the glass to belly up, and it's cracked it in 3 places. So I'm pretty sure this piece was actually cracked. There's still a crack there, there was one there, and there was one here, and I started working on this bit here first because it was like probably the weakest point. But anyway, so my point is they tightened the bulkhead while the silicone was wet. So in this situation, you need to either let the silicone dry, put the bulkhead in after, or if you are going to put the bulkhead in, you need to lightly tighten it, let it dry, and then tighten it again. And also the bulkhead was siliconed on. Don't silicone it. Buy proper, what do you call it? Rubber sealant. That bottle I've got at home that I've showed you like 100 times. I used to silicone bulkheads on, and don't get me wrong, on the ply tanks I still silicone them on because around here is an uneven surface because of the fiberglass. But on glass tanks, use a proper sealer. Don't use silicone, please. I don't know if you guys just saw that there, when I got to like that point, see how easy it came up? For some reason this plate wasn't glued down in this area at all. And I may seem confident in taking this off, but I'm actually shitting myself, believe it or not. Something about hitting glass with a hammer just doesn't really tickle my fancy. And you need to give it like a real firm hit to get it to shatter. Once it's shattered, look at this bit here. That's not even stuck. I don't know what that is. That's... Oh, guys, that's not somebody trying to get some white silicon under there. That's calcium buildup. That's from like argonite in the sump or limestone, and that's built up there. Alright, so by rights, this corner should be the easiest part to get off because it's not stuck down. Look at that. So all that work to get that off, and then look how easy the last piece came off. It wasn't stuck down, and that's where the water was coming in. I don't know how you stuff up a plate that big. Imagine gluing on a plate that big and it leaking. I would feel like I'd done shit at life. Sorry if you're the person that built this tank, but I'm really hoping that this tank was built like 20 years ago. Hopefully you're not watching. Alright, so we've got the base on the ground. That was the hardest part. That took me like an hour and 20 minutes just to clean the base up. So as an idea of how long it takes to rebuild a tank, that one piece is an hour and 20 minutes. The sides are probably 30 minutes. Well, or front and back, sorry, not sides. But anyway, so the point behind that was, people always ask me to reseal tanks for them. If I register a business, I would have to get liability insurance, plus it would take me... also, you've got to think about the pulling apart time. It would take me 6 to 8 hours to build a tank, like, because it's 10 times longer than building a brand new tank. And then, so an hourly rate for that. I couldn't build this tank, reconstruct this tank, or not to mention the silicon. I would never use cellies on a customer tank. I would be using Dow crowning, which is like 4 times the price of cellies. I couldn't reseal this tank for under $600 to $700 and gain a half decent profit. So who's going to pay $700 to reseal a tank? Not many people, considering like this tank here, they're importing them now for like under $1,500, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I don't know, it's not worth it. I'd love to do it as a job and work on fish stuff, but there's just not enough money to support my lifestyle, really. Alright, I'm going to keep on going. I'm going to finish that one, and then we need to construct it. So I'm pretty nervous about walking on this, but I have to. I've leveled it. I don't have styrofoam under it, but that shouldn't be an issue. It's like dead, it's perfectly level. But I guess we're just going to have to try. It's 3 foot tall, there's no way I can reach inside. I have to be inside this tank to build it. All good, guys. I don't know why I was stressing, but something about walking on glass just doesn't sit right in my head. But that seems alright. I guess when I'm gluing up, I'll try to stay away from where the holes are, because I feel like that's a weak point. Scares me a little bit. Alright, so now I'm going to clean it. And then we're going to start gluing, I guess. Oh, we're going to tape it all up. So, we've got the tank in position. We've got 1mm packers the whole way around, and it's all just taped at the moment. But now I'm putting these little brackets on. I'll show you how I'm doing that. Production team Angela has arrived, so now she can film while I'm doing it. Alright, so got like 50 by 50 aluminium angle, and I've cut little 30mm pieces, and it's a quick process. Hot melt, glue, glue, on. You don't have time to think. Obviously these are quite brittle when they're on there, so don't think that they're a permanent, like, it's not going to be overly strong. If you bump that or twist it, that they will pop off, so don't think that you can walk into it and smack the tank and it won't fall apart. Alright guys, everything is braced up. Building a tank is like painting a car. It's so much prep work for 10 minutes of work. 10 minutes is probably an exaggeration. So I've pulled all my 1mm spacers out, so there's a 1mm gap around the whole thing. The only thing I haven't worked out yet is how I'm going to get into the tank. That's 900 high. My groin is only maybe 700 high, so we're not stepping over it. I'm gonna have to get like a milk crate and climb in there or something. Hopefully WorkSafe doesn't watch this video. Alright, so I've got my Milwaukee caulking gun. Now, as much as I love the Milwaukee caulking gun, it saves your hand from going like that. This thing weighs a ton, so by the end of this my shoulder is going to be killing me. But let's just go, we'll get it done. Get in. I guess we start at that end while I'm facing that way. I'm still nervous about walking on this. I've walked in my old 8-foot 100 times before. I don't see the only reason to be nervous. But we'll just keep our weight on the trestles. They're not trestles, they're clubs. Alright guys, so we've got some bad news. I ran out of silicone. So I've actually been through 5 tubes of silicone. As you can see, like, the waste is huge. So I'm making these edges nice, but those bottom ones, I'm leaving them as they are because we're going to be cutting that out to glue our bottom bracing in. So we'll cut the silicone square in the corner, and then when the bottom bracing goes in, it'll be a fresh silicone. And so what I did is, with the silicone I had, I came up both sides as high as I could until I ran out, because a joint in the silicone is better at like a higher height. The higher it is, the less PSI, the less pressure is on the joint in the silicone. Now, Anne's just going to Bunnings and back. She'll be 20 minutes, and I actually siliconed that after she left. So in theory, so hopefully that silicone will only be 30 minutes set before we get the next lot. Unfortunately, my work is like the furthest distance from any Bunnings ever recorded, but it should be fine. I'm not going to be too worried. If it ever did spring a leak in the 2 joints, we'll just patch it. It's not a display tank. So if you look at the silicone, you can really see the profile here. I'm loading the back of it up. We're talking like 8 mil, probably 10 mil and 10 mil coverage. I've got my, what do you call it? I've got my scraper there. Like, you can see how big the radius is on that. That's what we're doing. As I said, it's not a display tank, and I really don't feel comfortable that it's 3 foot high. I could Euro brace the inside, but I'm trying to do this on a budget, and it never had Euro bracing in it before, so I'm actually going to have a look, and maybe I'll put some black aluminium angle over the ends and silicone that on. That's what I did on my old 8 foot, but we'll have to see what I can find out the back, out there. So to pretty much, yeah, it should be all good. We'll go alley on the outside, braced on the bottom. Maybe we should brace that bottom edge, I don't know. I'll make a decision and get back to you guys. Alright guys, so Ange went and grabbed some more silicone. Huge shout outs to her. So that's been sitting there for like 20 minutes. So what I'm going to do now, I'll show you. I'm going to get a piece of, this is ABS edging. This is what I use to space it out. And I'm actually going to go in there and take off that top layer. So that way, get that out. It's going to make a bit of a mess, but can you see now when I touch that? See, that's wet. That's what we want. We want to get wet on wet silicone. On the home stretch, guys. This is the last little bit. Done. Just clean that up. And that's done for the day. Alright guys, I started driving home and I realised I forgot to film an outro. Next week we'll carry on with that tank. We're going to put the bottom bracing in. I don't know what I'm going to use for top bracing yet because I don't have any. I do have some glass at home that I might MacGyver, or I might order the glass, I don't know yet. I'm trying not to really spend money on it. So if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to subscribe for more, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace out.